And Mike should be here in the next, 15, 20 minutes, hopefully. But let's just get started on the recap for our characters. We'll let Mike recap his character before we do his next scene. But let's just go into recaps real quick. So, Gozar, what happened to you last time?
I went to go see Jane. Tried to sneak a piece of her hair and used the lame excuse of needing to go to the bathroom, or diarrhea at some point had come up. Quickly realized I was wrong. Wasted a magical thing on that. Went to go see Jane's mother as Jane, and I had my sidekick there. Watch Jane to make sure she didn't leave. I think I went to go see Gozar. Not Gozar. The King for a bit.
Yep, we had a scene
as well too. And that was actually pretty much it for Gozar. That Conan has actually been running around the castle. Everyone loves the furry little guy now.
So yes, this is Josh. We discussed this earlier, but you remember Gozar had a dog, familiar sort of, but we kind of forgot about him for almost the entire campaign. So Gozar wants to make use of him, so we're remembering him now.
Okay. Duly noted.
Lord Torin.
Who?
You, bitch. God damn.
I'm just kidding. Jesus. Alright. So. A colonel came to visit Torin and said the lava was like 5 days, or lava was encroaching onto the city, which is like, what? 5 days, 2 weeks away. But the walls are, arcane and have lasted generations, and they should hold. He went to Gertrude and promptly choked her, because she's a bitch.
Did you have any more specific notes on why the domestic violence occurred?
It's not domestic violence if you don't love her.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's just a joke. That's just a joke.
Jesus Christ.
No,
That's just violence.
right. It's fine. Yes, I noticed an envelope in the trash that it looked sort of like the envelope that I had given to Felix. So I questioned her, and I rolled a 12, and she was lying to me, so I persuaded with force to get the truth out of her. So she told me the truth, but now I'm on her bad side. And then, so we're going to have a council meeting. Called everyone. I guess I've even sent people out to, see if Beatrix is around too, but, whatever. And I think that's it.
All right, Beatrix, what did you get up to last time?
So Beatrix continues her very slow assault on the city. And remind me directionally, the lava is coming down from the north, right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
And where my reavers found like kind of the swampy weak points underneath the walls, that was on the west side. Is that correct?
I want to say that was on the south side.
Was it the south? Okay.
Yeah, so I envisioned the valley that Fallcrest is in as sort of a crescent with the arch dipping down to the south, and there's a river that flows through it, and Fallcrest sits just to the north of that river in the middle of the dip.
You could refer to the map.
Gotcha.
I don't remember the
Okay.
map, so,
So,
this
yeah,
is the new canon. Your map doesn't exist anymore.
Can you turn him up so I can hear him?
Okay, so Beatrix has the lava going. She's got the under the wall, and she also grew some very quick maturing infestation trees, I guess I'll call them, and they began to poison the city's water supply. And so I have some very limited orientation of the mobs who have been infected with the blight. And I believe the last thing I did was I instructed them to surround the city's like grain silos or however many they could find, and just start chanting my name. And I also know, I mean, this is more about Felix than about but we're going to overlap. Felix had sent a platoon, I think, out into the blight to recover the head of one of the dyads?
Yeah, the blight dryads, yes.
Right. So I know that we had agreed to kind of resolve what happened with the platoon when they ran into my reavers.
Yep. So we'll have to figure that out when Mike gets here. So Mike's not here yet, so we're gonna do his recap when he gets here between scenes, and we'll go from there.
One more thing Gozar had mentioned to Torin is that he was going to turn into a golem.
I'm sorry?
At the council meeting.
I'm sorry, he said what?
That he was going to turn into the golem. Remember he showed him the finger?
Oh, he was gonna appear as one of the blight dryads?
Well, the golem, like the big...
Yeah, the
golem.
big guys, yeah.
Yeah, at the council meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had agreed to that, is that correct?
Yeah, that he wasn't going to turn me in or try and have me killed for that. He was going to try and use it as a warning to people of what actually is coming. In an attempt to be a good king.
All right, so I think a good place to start with is Beatrix has sown some seeds here, so to speak. What's your intention for them? Like, obviously you've got the creepy factor going with getting people to chant your name as the sun goes down while surrounding grain silos, but what is it that you wish?
Oh, I want them to. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. What do you want them to accomplish?
Oh, okay. I want them to break into the grain silos and then just start. Well, vomiting, excreting, whatever they can to poison the food supply.
That's gross.
Even the sound to go with it too.
It hurts. I kind of have to pinch my cheek too hard for that. All right, so I don't think a roll is going to be necessary for that. I think that's sort of covered by the roll in the notch you took for poisoning the water supply. So the people who are affected by this are going to do it. I want you to describe... So there are a bunch of grain storage sites in the city. Not so much just, one type of grain, but various larders and, because the king was... or Lord Torin had people that were trying to arrange to stockpile some food. So there are a number of locations around the city. So just give me like a brief description of what happens at one of these sites.
So I would imagine that there are, no more than 2, maybe 3 guards just like there to keep bystanders or thieves away. So what happens is that this group, this small mob is lumbering through the, I would imagine, narrow city streets. And one of these grain silos, it was one of the former warehouses, so it had a little more space between it and all the other buildings. And once this mob kind of bursts forward like a pimple being punctured, they explode out onto this broader open boulevard and terrify the guards who try and run. Whether or not they make it out, I'll leave up to you. But the momentum of how fast they're moving, as they've accelerated across this boulevard, it pushes through the modestly reinforced doors of the silo, and they spread out like viruses through a blood vessel. And they just begin eating and vomiting and shitting all over the city's grain supply. And even some of them were like too rambunctious. They'll tear off parts of their bodies just to drip more of the infection into the grain.
This is an awesome and horrifying image here. So I'm getting the image of this super organism that has consumed these people, and they are just destroying themselves to make this happen. Like, some of the guards that are there obviously weren't enough to hold this back. So some of them run. Some of them stay and try to fight to try and hold this out, and like they find themselves literally torn to pieces, and their pieces thrown into the food supply, totally befouling it. And I think like you've got this sort of chemical element to contaminating the food supply, but there's also fires that are started, and this isn't the only site this happens at. This happens across several sites simultaneously, and the guards that run, they tell their families to buy as much food as they can, to hoard everything, because the food stores are being destroyed. And word of that spreads to other families who start doing the same thing. And by the middle of the night, there are roving bands of people out in the streets looking for any food storage to get for themselves, to protect their families. And this is a marked change from the past few weeks that have been marked by basically the terror of the Star of the North purging anything that they found to be undesirable. Like, in an instant, the order has been reversed, and the Star of the North retreats to their barracks, coinciding with the arrest of their exarch. I don't know what that says. Hysteria, food shortage, Sporcum.
It's my notes.
Sporcum.
Yeah, so Sporcum is canon now, BT dubs. Just because I can't keep that to myself. It has to be shared with others. So
just some water.
Yeah. So, like, there's this fever pitch that has been reached in the city that people know the food is under attack. So let's we'll leave it with that one. What's that?
Go ahead.
Did you want the next scene?
Sure, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
So do you want to get a report of this, or do you want to wake up the next day?
So when was the council planned for? Like later today or this morning?
Yeah. So the day after this nighttime debacle here.
Okay. Yeah, I guess let's go with a report.
Okay, so Colonel Yu comes in and describes the scale of the attack on the food stores and the disorder that has spread out through the city completely. And he also notes to you that the Star of the North, who'd been like a heavy presence out in the street, essentially keeping the populace from moving around, has at the same time retreated.
So this Colonel Yu is now in charge of.
Well, yeah, since General Magnus, or Angus, since General Angus, Jesus, he's dead. He's dead to me now. Sorry. Since General Angus was unfortunately executed by the Star of the North for.
It's so sad.
Yeah, I know. You mourn him every day. Yes, Colonel Yu is the temporary commander of all of your forces.
So okay. So Colonel Yu, what are you doing about it? The Star of the North have retreated into their whatever. What are our forces doing? Are you keeping the peace?
Well, my lord, the guards that were guarding the food stores were overrun by the populace very suddenly last night, and at the same time, the Star of the North retreated, citing. I sent messages to ask why they suddenly removed their forces from the street at this critical juncture, and they said there was a. They were not specific, but they suggested that there was a change of command.
A change of command, you say?
Yes, I have not been able to get any more details than that, but they are pulling their forces back to the barracks. This much we can be certain of. As to why, Star of the North has always been a mysterious factor in our city who have had too much autonomy, in my personal opinion, my lord, and they have failed us in this instance, as we were under the impression that they were helping to keep the peace in the streets, and now the streets are more dangerous than ever. We can barely control our guard points, our barracks and watchtowers, as well as keep men out in the field against the encroaching blight. We've had all sorts of reports of Reaver activity closer to the city than ever before.
So the grain stores, right, where the guards left and blah blah blah. So are those like? Does the colonel know that they're contaminated, or is it just like depleted from people taking food, or?
He tells you that he knows that they were overrun by the civilian populace, and that they have not yet reclaimed them.
Okay.
So he doesn't know what the status of any food in there is.
Okay.
He just knows that it's chaos in the streets, and he pulled his men back after they were driven off from those various points.
And what of our harvest in the fields?
I'm afraid I could not tell you that, my lord.
Well, you need to find out and then come back after you go to the Star of the North and tell them that their duty is to the people of this city and not to hide in their wherever
Their barracks.
Their barracks.
All right. So Colonel Yu's looking a little out of his depth here. Should I talk to the Merchants Guild about that? Would they be the ones to know?
The Merchants Guild.
Who? Well, I apologize, my lord. I know the disposition of our troops, but I do not know how to find. I don't know the answer to. How do I know how much grain is in the field? I have no idea who to ask that.
That's not my problem. Find out. You will tell me by lunch, before lunch. Before lunch. What time is it now?
It is 9 o'clock.
Tell you what. Go to the Star of the North. Demand that they send a representative to me immediately. And find out as soon as you're done with them. And then come back.
Yes, my lord. I shall do this at once.
Also, send for my soon-to-be son, please.
I shall pass a messenger. I shall pass your message on. So.
I have a job.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, just to plan things out, when's the council happening?
I have no idea. When's the council happening?
Soon.
When did we say?
I don't remember.
I think it was supposed to be one of the next things we do.
I thought it was sundown.
So
Yeah.
like,
let's say sundown.
yeah,
Let's say sundown.
Yeah, like today.
Wait, isn't the wedding also today? Are you going to have like a council meeting like as a prelude to the wedding?
I thought the wedding was like in a couple days.
Yeah, I think we just
No,
moved
you
it
moved
up to,
it
like,
forward.
Now, I think Josh is right. Let's say
Oh, great.
Gertrude's plan was to have a ceremony in front of the gathered
the council,
leadership
yes.
of
Great dream
Fallcrest
That's awesome.
as a
Yeah, let's do that.
conclusion to the council meeting. Does that sound good?
Oh, it's gonna be fucking great.
Marriage.
That's good.
Marriage.
So
And maybe
Gozar's
you'll hang him, too.
Stop before he goes to see the king.
All right. So, Gozar, a page runs to your door, knocks on it, and says, "Lord Torin wishes to speak with you."
All right. I've got 2 stops, quick stops before he heads to the king.
Okay.
First is going to Jane.
Okay.
Knocks on her door.
Ah, Master Gozar, what brings you to me this morning?
Good evening, or good morning, Lady Jane. Quick question. I'm sure you've heard about how fast our wedding is approaching.
It's a matter of some concern, but
So you remember what you asked me to do before our wedding?
yes, I
So
do.
We have a little bit of a problem. Not that I'm not going to do it. However, I don't think the timing is perfectly great right now. Hard to explain. Let me just say at the council meeting you'll understand why. There's something rather grave coming that probably will kill us all. Anyway, so I think that's probably something we should handle first. And when we survive, if we do, then I'll gladly kill your father.
She
Well,
pulls you inside.
The guy down
And,
the
like-
hallway's like turns real quick and just starts running.
and like slams you against the wall as best she can. Discretion, my betrothed.
sorry, my dear.
Don't. So. I can guess at your meaning, but if we're to make this work, truly work, to be successful for both of us, we must be transparent. Do you mean that some blight-related problem spells doom for us all?
Yeah, and when you see it tonight, you'll understand.
All right.
So let me follow up that question. Say your father was to die today.
Terrible tragedy.
Who would be the suitable leader that could actually take us through what is about to come? Do you have command over his forces?
This depends greatly on the circumstances. If he were to be, horribly slaughtered in the middle of council, that would be a problem, I think. The theatrics of it all would let everyone know exactly what was going on at the same time, and then every petty noble there would reinforce their own little fiefdoms and their own little claims, and that would be very bad. What I hoped was that if you were to neutralize my father, it would be a bit more clandestine, so we could move to secure our control over Fallcrest before anyone even knew what was going on.
Perfectly fine. That's kind of where I was going. I have a whole plan to, do the thing.
Good.
It's more just with what I've actually seen and what I know is coming. Are you sure you can handle ruling to try and prevent us from all dying? I know your father's a bastard, but he's been in charge for a while. Granted, he's not great at it, but he does at least command the forces, and they seem to at least listen to him. Would it merit waiting a bit just to see how he handles it and maybe learn a little bit, and then maybe do it?
So he can take the blame for us all dying horribly?
Well, if we all die, then it's a moot point.
Exactly.
So do you think you and your mother can do it better?
What's this about my mother?
I don't know. Isn't she the queen? Wouldn't she take over if he dies?
She is a dear woman I care for deeply, and she is not in line for succession.
Ah, so you're next. Okay. So are you able to do this, my soon-to-be? I just want to make sure that if this happens...
Gozar, dear, and she sort of strokes your cheek as she says this. I can't do this alone, but to your question, I can do this.
Can I at least do it after the council? Because something large is going to come out at the council that I've kind of gotten a little protection from your father on.
Okay, let's make a roll to see whether or not she wants to go along with this.
All right, what role is this going to be?
So this is going to be persuade with leverage. You've made a compelling argument here that there's reason to delay what she wants.
Okay, is that sly?
Yep.
Okay. So, plus 1. That is a 9. That's a 10.
Well, Master Gozar, you are a cunning ally here, so I shall defer to your wisdom in this matter.
I very much appreciate it. Also, what's your take on this whole getting married early thing? Are you for or against it?
Are you for or against our alliance, Master Gozar?
I'm 100% for our alliance.
Then they are one and the same.
Excellent. I must go see your father. He has summoned me. Can't keep thinking, waiting.
Yes, I know how he can be. Do stay your hand.
Absolutely. So now I only have no stops. Gonna skip the second stop I had now.
All right.
Straight to the king.
All right. Lord Torin, Master Gozar shows up at your at the door to your study.
Enter!
Hello, Lord Torin. You summoned me?
I did. Thank you for coming. What took you so long?
I just had to stop and see your beautiful daughter.
Oh yeah, what you talk about?
Wedding stuff.
Oh yes, the wedding. So that, when is that?
I think she told me it's today.
Today. Oh.
Yeah, nobody told me before.
Are you nervous?
Not ready. I don't have a tux.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, let me tell you about my first time.
Oh boy. All right.
No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
So, I have news.
Yes.
Colonel Yu, you know him?
I've heard the name.
Yes. Well, he's in charge of the military.
Uh-huh.
He gave me a report. I told you the lava. You know about the lava.
Yes.
I told you about the lava.
You told me about the lava. Yes.
Yeah. So, last night, have you heard anything?
No, your Highness, I have not.
Don't call me that.
Sorry, Lord Torin.
Remember?
No.
You can call me Dad.
Okay. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah. So, you.
Is your son aware that I call you Dad?
Which son?
The one I saw you shame off one day.
He's not my son.
Oh. Duly noted, Dad.
Suddenly, the camera pans over several miles out to a guard tower in the middle of nowhere, and Byrne bursts into tears for no reason that he could explain.
Oh man. So I have news. Last night, I don't know if you've heard from, maybe your mother. She has ears on the ground, but there was some sort of uprising or panic, and the populace has started gathering or securing food. Our grain stores have been occupied by our citizens. The guards have been overrun, and the Star of the North have retreated to their keep.
So the people are stealing all the food.
Yes.
Lovely. Peasants.
Well, unfortunately, there are peasants.
True.
So, what would you do? Being,
Well, let me ask you.
in line for the king.
Let me ask you, since
Or the throne, rather.
the Star of the North has decided to cower, are these people that are currently in the grain storage, are they people you would want to use as military or use to fight for you?
What?
Do you need extra bodies to fight the Blight?
We always need people to fight the Blight.
My take would be to find those people and work with them to give them food and show...
I've done that already.
Yeah, but show them you can be a good king and show them that you can rally them and they'll support you. So then when you ask them, you need help on the ground because the rotten Star of the North have decided to bail, tell them they can help rebuild this city once we defeat the Blight. Most of them are probably going to die in the Blight anyway, but at least you can secure them and use them in your, however you need them to help stop the Blight.
Being my soon-to-be heir, I charge you with that task.
Lovely.
So, I'd like you to go down to the grain stores and pass along that message and find out what's going on.
Of course, Dad. Happy to do it.
Thank you.
So he's just going to
That'll
run
be all.
along. Poor Mike's not going to have much food left.
All right. So, Beatrix, what's your next move here? And this doesn't have to be take a notch. It's just which direction are you going at this point?
So, what is my control over the blight itself? So I'm not just talking about the not just talking about the reavers or like nature. I'm talking about like the force, like the silent force that that has been approaching Fallcrest for this entire campaign. Like, what's my how do I interact with that?
So that, like, let's say that when you're interacting with people who are under the influence of the blight, it's about, like, sort of pushing them in a direction. But the blight itself, where its borders are, where it moves, like, you have as much control over that as you do of the tides.
Okay.
That's something that can flow around and through places that you carve out, but it's not something you can influence directly.
Do I have a better sense of what attracts it?
Yeah, I'd say you've got sort of a general idea of what does. What do you think attracts it?
I think what attracts it is activity. Just the motion and collision of life. And the more dense it is, and the more loud it is, and the more interconnected it is, the blight seeks to flatten it, quiet it, and demolish it with its silence, like a blanket over a small fire. Just smother it out.
Okay. So if the blight is encroaching on a forest, it creeps slowly, inch by inch, but when it gets to, like, the center of a town, it leaps forward at this this sort of center of life and activity, like something like a hunter pouncing on prey, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good description. Okay.
Thank you.
So, go ahead.
Okay, so I am going to
This
do I have I mean, has our last companion arrived? Can we resolve that?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest Mike is on his way. Let's take a break, think on that, and we'll get back to that after the break. Does that sound good?
Good idea. Yep.
All right, sounds good. Break time.
We should take a road trip this summer and go to the Buffalo Wing Fest in Buffalo, New York. It's not really worth an 8-hour drive, but they have some awesome.
We should do this. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's good if you're close, but it's not worth 8 hours. But they have, like, Holocaust wings and stuff like that. That it's crazy.
I'm sorry. What?
Hi.
What?
That's the name of them.
Sorry, that was insensitive Gentile speak.
Did I just learn something new about you, Josh? That I didn't know before? Mazel tov.
Some of you recording this.
Yeah, I am recording this.
Oh my god.
Spectacular.
Oh, that was good.
They weren't actually named Holocaust wings, but they're like nuclear wings or something stupid like that. But
The marketing guys decided Holocaust wings might be a no-go with certain demographics.
Oh man.
Oh Lord.
They also objected to the spiciness scale of mild, medium, hot, and gas chamber.
Oh Jesus.
Oh man. Okay.
they did have the Ava Braun juice, like a drink girl that's a big hat.
Ah. Well, 20th century atrocities aside.
Yeah.
Felix, give us a quick recap
Okay.
of what happened for you last session, just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Here, one sec.
Shove that meat in your mouth. Hot meat.
Slow motion video. I've seen a movie like that once, I think. So,
Chicken wow.
Chicken wow.
you're so punny.
Yeah. I'm
So-
gonna have to edit the shit out of this.
Get your work in.
Yeah.
Make your work. Oh, make it hard for you. I don't know. I'll just stop. So Felix stopped and he spoke with Antonia's, or no, not with Lord Torin's wife, and tried to get her confidence in potentially leading House Baleford and the city if her husband were to meet some untimely death. And after attempting to come on to him, she realized that he was being serious, and she stopped, and she was able to, we were able to kind of like see eye to eye about like the well-being of the people that are, you know, being threatened by the blight. After that, Felix went to go see Inquisitor Davos, and actually with Lord Torin's wife, they examined the letter, the sealed letter.
Yep.
And then she was able to reseal it, and he gave it to Inquisitor Davos, and he used it to like rally some of his troops and question Antonia. We lost some. I think we lost some troops in the process. The guards for Antonia's quarters left, and Antonia, when she was,
I think you convinced them to leave.
I convinced them to leave, but I think that they were it sounded like they were playing around with leaving the order. So they were kind of like crestfallen when they left.
Yes.
So Antonia,
Crestfallen.
crestfallen, fall crest.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that. That was unintentional.
No, thank you.
So Antonia defended herself when she was kind of like backed into a corner, and Felix was able to knock her down, and then the rest of Inquisitor Davos's men subdued her and took her away. And then did it leave with? I can't remember if I actually did this or I just said that I wanted to do this about sending troops back into the Blight.
I had a note that you said you did that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you did that.
Okay. Ta-da.
So there are troops that were sent back into the Blight to retrieve the head of the creature you killed.
Yes, the Blight Dryad.
Yep.
To bring proof of the evil, and that's I think those are the highlights.
All right. So Felix, it's the morning after you.
Do we want to tell him what happened just now?
Yeah. So
So, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, after you.
go ahead.
Milord Torin.
So, Beatrix caused her spore
Yeah.
minions to infect and these grain supplies by like splooging all over the place.
Was that a technical term or? I'm joking.
Highly technical.
And sent the infected citizens to sort of mass on those, and the guards were, ran away, and they started like hoarding food, and other people started hoarding food. So there's like sort of mass hysteria about like food supplies and stuff like that.
Did they turn into reavers, or did they just were they like influenced and
Influenced, I think.
This is something different.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I went, and then I talked to Colonel Yu. I sent him to the Star of the North to because they all like sort of went in, what's the word? Retreated to their barracks. So I sent him to like be like, what the fuck's going on? Get someone and help with the populace. I also told them to figure out like as far as like our the food in the field and stuff is, and as far as harvest goes, when is that going to happen? How much we have left? I sent for Gozar. But he could tell you that.
Yep. Basically, he's going to have me visit all the grain silos. Basically, all the townsmen have kind of cooped up in there, basically trying to get as much food, take as much food as they can.
Are they eating it? What are they doing with it? Do we know?
I don't think we know actually. I think the assumption is they're trying to steal it.
Okay.
But Lord Torin has.
So, like, outside of any individual character's perspective here, the people that Beatrix sent basically befouled the food that they could get their hands on in various ways.
It's barbaric.
So, yeah, no more sound effects, Chris.
It didn't make any sense.
I could see your mouth like perched and ready to yeah. So yeah. But some of that food has ended up in the hands of the populace, some of that has been destroyed, some of that is still there.
So is it like poisoned then, or it's not gonna? I guess we don't know if it's gonna
Unclear.
create more
Unclear.
spore blights or like spore blooms or whatever.
Unclear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's fun.
Mm-hmm. So, Felix, it's the next day. You're getting some like sparse reports about what happened the night before that basically described this sort of hysteria that came into effect after the Star of the North pulled back. Yeah, so Antonia is in the stocks or the brig or whatever it is that you have, you tell me.
Probably the brig.
Yep. There is a council meeting in the evening that she was invited to that you are aware of based on messages that you've gone through at this point.
He said he sent it to me. I think Torin said that he sent invitations to me and not Antonia.
Okay. Well, either way,
Yeah.
it's the invitation is in your hands, and Inquisitor Davos is preparing a case against Antonia, but said he needs some time to ensure that all the proper steps are taken.
I'll ask what's in the interim until a new exarch has been chosen. We're in dire times and we need leadership.
So the question I have for you is, are you the ranking executive here?
I think that there are other executors, but that we're like laterally, like we're the same, like have the same authority, but because of because of recent events and events in the past.
Okay,
He's
so
he's
there's no
popular.
there's no clear chain of command, but because you were the one that exposed Antonia, people are looking to you as interim leader of the Star of the North.
I'd say that there are maybe three other executors, but don't have as much like notoriety.
Yeah. Okay. So nobody contests your leadership. You're effectively in command of the Star of the North for now.
And I told last episode, I told Inquisitor Davos that when the time comes to choose a new Exarch, I'll honor the process, pretty much the decision making process for new leadership. So I'll ask what's been done about. What's been done about what word is there about how we're responding to people grabbing the granaries and following the food supplies.
So currently, there has been no action taken. When Antonia was arrested, the call was also put out to recall any orders that she'd given. Because if she is corrupted, then any orders she's given are corrupted. So everyone was called back to reassess the situation, and no one else has been deployed since. The Star of the North barracks are essentially in lockdown, and your entire strength is located there. Aside from maybe a few teams that are like far out in the countryside,
and then probably the people I sent back into the blight,
as well as them. They are also out on their way.
I'll call a meeting and ask like lower echelons of leadership, like sergeants and things like that, to create like duties for patrolling the town, ensuring safety, the same kind of measures that were in place before like shit hit the fan.
Okay. So they want some broad guidance on how, let's say, aggressive they should be.
I think what we were doing in town caused a tip of like a balance in power or an imbalance in power, and I think that we should be cautious because some groups may seek retribution against us. So be on guard, but don't be aggressive. We're there to continue to show our presence, to be peacekeepers. We're not.
So take a light touch, broadly speaking?
Yes.
Or, okay. So, like, if your choices are light touch, bring down the hammer, and middle of the road, where do you want to come down on that?
Middle of the road.
Middle of the road, okay.
And if
medium brutality.
if report back any like targeted aggression towards patrols, and we'll respond to that, with force. It's likely that anybody like seeking retribution against us was probably part of a criminal organization, and we still want to establish maintain authority and maintain like power and like our like appearance of strength.
All right.
Throughout the city, and then I'll ask for a group of volunteers to come with me to go explore the granaries and the situation at the granaries to try to restore like peace and balance there.
Okay. Let's put a pin in that, and Beatrix.
Okay.
Did you had some time to think on what you wanted to do as sort of your next step?
Yeah, so two things happened. One is I did come up with an idea, and I lost it. So
There was too long of a break. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. So I think what I was. Oh yeah, I remember now. Okay. So how far is the closest part of the blight to the city? Like, are we talking miles? Are we talking like within line of sight? What are we talking about?
Let's say it's miles. It's down to miles at this point.
Okay. I want. I'm gonna take a. So. I'm not sure if this is really not worthy, but if it needs to be a roll, let me know. What I want to do is two things. One very loud thing, one very quiet thing. The loud thing is I want to take have a band of reavers essentially just like park themselves within hearing distance of the city and just start banging essentially like probably bone and skin drums.
Okay.
Close enough to attract the attention of the guards. But I don't want them to engage.
Okay.
The very, very quiet thing is I want to start burrowing under the soft spot of the walls.
Okay. So the banging on drums and such. What's the intended purpose of that?
To draw attention both from the guards. Because I imagine the light is coming in from the east.
Okay. Sure.
Right. So the light's coming in from the east, so I'm trying to pull attention away from the south and where my tunnels are coming in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a distraction from the second thing, the undermining of the walls.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say. So I think this is a roll to just see broadly how well that goes.
Would it be like slide because it's kind of an underhanded maneuver? Or do you just want to
What stat do you think is most appropriate to how you're going to direct the Reavers to do this?
So my thing is that essentially it's my ability to kind of pull or push them in that directional sense that you had mentioned with as much precision as possible in order to be as quiet as possible and to do two things at once. So, I would think of that as arcane, just because it's my ability to reach into and puppeteer the Reavers with a lot of control and precision.
Okay. Alright, roll plus arcane then.
Okay. That is a 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 8.
Congratulations.
So let's see. So let's say so mixed success. So your digging team achieves their goal. They deal structural damage to the. Let's say they don't deal obvious structural damage to the wall. They undermine the base of the wall. So let me make note of that real quick. Southern wall undermined. But the consequence here is that they're going to get found out. the drumming squad's a particularly aggressive young captain notices the drumming and sends his patrol out to get to the bottom of what's going on. And he finds the drummers, and they're slaughtered to the man. But something tickles at the back of his neck, and he follows up on it. And he widens the search out, and eventually discovers evidence of tunnels that lead to the wall. At this point, your Reavers have achieved their goal and have, for the most part, retreated, and those that aren't are slaughtered by the guards, but they did the job they were sent to do. And the captain decides to return his men to their post, and he returns to the city to inform the Lord of what's happened.
That's me.
That is you.
That's me.
That's me.
I didn't mean that in a mocking way. I didn't.
Okay.
So let's get back to that in just a minute. So there's a bunch of balls in the air here. Felix, so you get a visit from Colonel Yu.
Who's on first?
Yeah,
Colonel Wen?
exactly. And
Like you
he-
asked him, that can't possibly be your name, right? It is now, apparently.
Yeah. Now, I don't remember how that happened, but apparently that happened, so that's his name.
Lord of the.
Oh, that's just what I call him. I mean, he can have another name. It's fine.
I just don't know what it is.
I just call him Colonel Yu because I don't know what his name is.
Are you fucking serious?
No, that he totally said
Yeah,
that
That
last
would totally be a
session.
Torin thing, yeah, anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. He's Colonel Yu. Colonel Yu.
It's not Colonel Yu. It's Colonel Yu.
So he's never actually offended by this because his name isn't spelled Y-O-U, it's spelled Y-U.
Nice.
And he's very grateful that his lord knows his name, despite not only recently rising to a prominent position.
He seems to have trouble with other people's names too, but yeah.
I know, Lord Torin seems to have trouble with a lot of people's names,
Right.
but Yu's like, this guy remembers my name.
Every time.
Apparently.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Like, from across the yard, he'll call out, "Hey, you," and then he'll talk to somebody else, but he just says hi to me.
Nice. What does the Honorable Colonel Yu have to say?
So, what did you want him to?
Send a representative back to the keep and ask them what the heck is going on. Like, get out in the streets and maintain order.
Okay, so you've said you've sent your guys back out into the streets to patrol with medium brutality.
About the same amount of
Light
brutality
medium?
as usual, yeah.
But as usual during the purges,
No.
or
Okay,
pre-
okay.
Okay, so
Got some words.
pre-purge levels of
Yes,
brutality.
correct.
Okay, that's important to calibrate that.
Yeah. I can understand.
So I assume you relay this to Colonel Yu.
I will, and just say that
Because he's looking for something of an explanation as to what's going on.
I'll tell. So, is it common news about Exarch Antonia then? Or no?
Is it?
No.
Yeah, it sounds like something you have kept sort of quiet.
So I'll let him know that that Antonia has been detained for
Okay.
corruption. I say this to you only so that you may communicate it to Lord Torin. and I hope that you would otherwise keep it in confidence.
He nods solemnly. You don't think he's gonna break his word there, but
And then I'll just say that we have the Star of the North has returned to, has once again resumed its presence in Fallcrest and among the streets of Fallcrest, and are hoping to ally with like the militia and whatever other forces are there to like restore like peace and order to the streets.
okay. If you want to talk shop with him, he'll let you know some of the disposition of his men, so that you guys can try to cover as much ground as possible.
Yeah,
So if that's all in order,
kind of coordinate that. Yeah.
he'll take his leave and bring your message back to Lord Torin.
And I'll ask if, in a show of good faith, if he has the leave to offer troops to accompany us to the granaries to see, what's going on there. I'm sure that Lord Torin would be curious to gather more information as well.
So you want to do sort of a joint mission
Yeah.
to do that? Okay.
I can understand that if you would want to, basically like get the green light from Lord Torin before doing that, and we don't want, we just let Lord Torin know that we'd like to hurry and investigate, and please send troops to supplement our investigation. And
Colonel Yu is bolstered by the confidence his lord has in him, knowing his name and all.
yeah,
So, yeah, he doesn't mind making that call himself, and he gives you some information that will be necessary for your squads to coordinate with his to sort of reclaim those grain storage areas.
okay.
So Lord Torin, eventually Colonel Yu comes back to you, and he lets you know that the Star North is out in force, but Antonia has been detained on corruption charges. And
Thanks, Lord Torin.
yeah, but they're coordinating well with their temporary commander, and he is confident that they can reclaim the food storage areas. As Colonel Yu is giving his report, there's a knock at the door. Colonel Yu answers and lets in young Captain Byrne, who gives a brief report to Colonel Yu, who Yu passes on to you that, because fuck you with this name.
I didn't name him you. You named him you.
No, you named him Yu.
Check the tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Lets you know that it's been discovered that Reavers have undermined the southern wall, and there could be structural damage to the wall. There's been minor flooding, as well as significant amounts of ground excavated underneath the southern wall of Fallcrest.
Shit. That's not good.
No, my lord, it is not.
So the walls are falling. It's a good
So
thing.
is there-
It's a good thing your future son is magical.
How are they getting? What is the purpose of these tunnels? Are they plan to collapse the wall, or are they trying to get in underneath?
Unclear, sir. Captain Byrne has informed me that his men slaughtered those they found, but it seems their work was largely done at that point. A series of tunnels under the wall could mean they intend to flood the area underneath to weaken the ground, or they intend to use that to put blasting charges underneath, or something of a more arcane nature. It's hard to say what the exact intended purpose is, but it's definitely intended to weaken the structure.
So what are we doing about it now? Are we filling it in? Are we?
Well, we do not have the manpower for that. It would take a significant mobilization of workers to make that happen.
So we're just gonna let it let's just leave it there. That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Like, this isn't fucking.
My lord, I must protest. I don't think leaving this unaddressed is a wise course of action.
No fucking shit! What fucking choice do we have?
We haven't the men to spare from the militia unless you wish to conscript the populace. I don't see how to accomplish this.
Do what you must. For God's sakes, do what you must. Fill in the holes, whatever.
My lord, I can set teams from the militia to work but it will take weeks to undo the damage that has been done.
No. Ask for volunteers forcefully. Not too forcefully, but forcefully. Needs to be filled.
Moderate brutality, or
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mid-range.
medium brutality.
Yeah. Medium brutality.
Okay, so you're talking about conscripting the population for this?
Yeah.
Or okay. So let's.
What you. Hey, you. What's the word on the on our harvest?
I thought you were sending Gozar to answer that question.
No, that was you.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
He forgot because he thought he was talking to the Star of the North.
Yeah. You forgot, huh?
Off with his head.
Okay.
All right.
Colonel Wen.
Let's see. I'm going to...
yeah, right. That'd be awesome.
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know.
All right. So you want the first. There's a few things going on. The
Yeah.
first is you want to try and undo the damage to the wall.
Yes.
And to do that, you would need to get a large workforce together fast
Yes.
that you don't normally have at your command. So you would have to conscript the local population who's already in an uproar.
Right.
So let's make this a threaten with force roll.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like I don't want to get into the particulars too much, but that sounds like the most direct mechanical way to handle whether or not this succeeds.
Yeah.
Cursed dice.
Hot. 14.
Oh my goodness.
Not so cursed.
Okay, so between the specific orders you give and the motivation you instill in Colonel Yu, he manages to rally a significant force of workers, people who are caught in an uncomfortable situation of being out in the streets, gathered in a manner that is not befitting public order, and they're rounded up and armed with shovels, and they're sent to try and undo the undermining that was done to the walls. That's going to take a little while, though.
Sure.
So, what else were you trying to accomplish here?
So he mentioned that Antonio was detained in the new. I'll ask him. Who's leading the Star of the North?
My lord, that was a certain executive Felix that I spoke to, who seems to be the ranking officer in command.
Ah, Felix. Very nice.
As you say, my lord.
As I say. Yes. Why are you still standing here?
He salutes, about faces, and gets out of your office.
Unfuck my office. Unask my office is what I meant. Unask my office, Colonel, yeah.
You said like a couple weeks ago, you look like a monkey fucking a football. It's like that. I hadn't heard that one before.
Oh yeah.
And that one is stuck with me.
Here or in
Somewhere. You
Rainbow Six.
conveyed it somewhere, and it's like that's a militarism I hadn't heard.
Oh. Your grill is jacked up, soldier. Looks like your teeth did center face forward march. This is among my favorites.
That was pretty good too. Alright, Gozar, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm headed down to the grain silos.
Okay. To do what?
I want to kind of spread the message that, you know, the king is looking to help them. You know, that we're, you know, obviously we understand the situation is a little dire right now. We don't want them to feel like they need to go steal grains, that we can try and work with them. You know, they help us, we help them, kind of a thing. I guess it's kind of go down there and kind of look for the person who's kind of, I guess, leading the charge down there.
So, you arrive at one of the grain silos that hasn't been reclaimed, so to speak. There's a smattering of local populace there who are sifting through the damaged building and its contents, and this is looking pretty fucking bleak. Like, there's a bunch of grain gone, but there's still a lot there, and you can tell why. In large part due to the smell.
Okay, so it smells.
Smells wrong as shit.
Okay.
And I don't mean shit specifically, though.
Yeah.
That is a component.
Yeah. Does he see anything? Does he see anyone like sick, or like would I need to study a situation for that, or?
Sure, yeah. If you wanna,
Yeah, let me study a situation.
if you wanna try and glean information that's gonna help you, yeah.
Slide. Oop, nope, that's 6.
Oh, okay,
I'm not gonna get shit.
okay. Okay, so as you arrive and you start questioning some of the locals there who are sifting through the remains of this food storage facility. You talk with a few people, but none of them want to engage you in conversation, and eventually they run off, basically.
So they run off.
yeah, they don't want to get questioned. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to be involved in any way other than trying to get some food for their families. And as soon as they get rumbled, they're out of there.
Okay, so all of them leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like you keep looking around, and as you move deeper into this converted warehouse, you notice a large pile of grain that on the surface seems less fucked up than the others, though still fucked up. And you move closer to inspect it, and all of a sudden 3 people burst out of this huge pile of grain with absolutely manic looks in their eyes, and they charge at you. What do you do?
I'm actually going to summon power.
You're gonna harness the unspeakable power to do what?
I am taking from the Adept
Great
playbook.
spell.
The move I had
Oh
taken.
yeah.
And that is, I go to the top. Power, horrible power. So I'm trying to think what I want to do. So I get to choose basically one of the following: stone, plants, air, fire, water, metal, illusion, beasts, or the dead. And when I command, when you command what you have mastered, I roll arcane. And hit hold 1, spend your hold to bend your master to your will.
So what's your thing for the move?
I've been going back and forth. Considering we're in a castle and a kingdom, there's a lot of stone everywhere. So I think I'm going to take stone.
Okay.
Before I pick that, though, like where I am now, do I see stone anywhere? Or, like, what are these things made out of? These silos? Are they stone silos? Are they?
Well, it's not silos. It's warehouses.
Okay.
So we're talking like tall timber walls and thick support beams for multiple levels, but at its base, it's stone foundation.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll take stone. Because I was trying to think, like, the city's probably, when you look at the city as a whole, it's mostly, if you had to pick one, it's mostly stone. More than metal, more than, like, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go stone. So I'm gonna roll for arcane on this, and I'm going to basically try and summon a couple rocks and hurl the rocks at the incoming people.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
+3 on this, so I get something good. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Oh, fucking 6.
Shit.
Uh-oh.
Do I get anything for failing, or is that's Monster of the Week, right?
Oh no, you get the
advancement
experience
points,
points.
Oh, you do get, okay, so that's 2 straight rolls with experience points. Excellent. Fuck. Well, shit.
So, wow, yeah. So this isn't like normal combat. So what I want to say is, you draw on this power and you go to pull stones out of the floor to hurl at them. But they either stick in the ground or no. So you go to draw on this power and you have trouble pulling the stones out of the ground. You get them free with enough time to hurl a few of them, and the people who are charging at you, the ones that get hit, are absolutely splattered. But that doesn't stop a few of them from reaching you.
Okay.
And they manage to, while you're distracted trying to control these stones, they clock you on the head but good. And it's like turning off an old TV where the image focuses down to a point and the lights go out.
Okay. How are they attacking me? Are they just, like, what are they hitting me with?
You didn't see what you got hit with,
Okay.
but you were unconscious at this point.
Did any blood get drawn, or am I bleeding at all?
I'm assuming you're bleeding?
Okay. The reason I ask is one of the moves I have is Black Ichor.
Okay.
So if I'm wounded by a weapon with attack messy or harmed in a typically messy way.
This one's just smacking you on the head with a rock or a club.
Okay, so it wouldn't be necessarily messy.
No,
Okay.
not in this case.
Okay. All right.
So let's jump to another scene. Who's up next?
I think Torin, isn't he?
Yeah, I think we're running around the.
Okay. Lord Torin, are we ready for the council?
Sure.
Of course.
Well, I mean, we're supposed to be there, but stuff happened.
So Felix was riding out to the granaries, but he wouldn't have missed the council meeting for that, though.
Yeah.
No, do we want to resolve
Yeah,
that
let's
first?
do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to.
That makes
yeah.
sense, I think, to do that.
I wasn't trying to jump in.
No, absolutely. So, like, if you've got a thing to do before we do that, then let's do that thing. So
I'm just riding out to the granaries. So did you commit men then?
yeah, so he sent groups of some battalions of forces to recapture each of the food storage areas. It takes some time to get everybody ready and to send them out in force and to try and disperse the population without turning it into a slaughter.
Yeah.
So
And
it takes time.
we were sending the Star of the North was sending guys too. So it was, like I said, it was like a joint operation or whatever. And I'll give Star of the North orders to if there are distinct people who are aggressors there and are defending the granaries to detain them for questioning, and so that way we can kind of figure out what happened and what led to this, and to see if. I mean, I don't know. Is that too like metagamey, or does it seem like in a panicked time people would attempt to just control the food sources because the blight's closing in, and it seems like a panicked move, like a selfish. I don't want to be too like.
Well, what do you think it is? You tell me.
Well, based on the reports that I got from Inquisitor Davos, is that like something was going on, something kind of erupted at the granaries, and so it sounds like he's not. I guess Felix isn't certain about what's going on. It's hard to tell if, like fog of war, like it's hard to tell if people are just. But maybe if he's down there and he sees like crazed people, then he would probably recognize these guys as like blight stricken or something like that, and he would order them to be detained and not just scaring them off or like roughing them up and sending them away.
Okay. So what you're saying is you want to get to the bottom of why this happened to the.
Ultimately, we just want the grain stores back, and to like restore peace. But as if we're able to find out why that is, then that would be great.
Okay, so let's say. Let's make this a roll.
Yeah. I feel like that would land well to.
Let's do a study a situation roll.
Okay.
So plus sly.
Plus lie. Wow. 6. Yeah.
6 total.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are getting some bad rolls right now. So let's say you and Colonel Yu send in your forces, and things get ugly fast. they encounter a number of folks who are just scared and trying to secure food for their families, and they're pretty easily chased off. But as your people, yours and theirs, establish perimeters and try to take control, they're suddenly attacked from within by those who had been hiding in the area. And you take some pretty disheartening losses. Most of them are due to just complete surprise and not to a failure of training at arms or anything. Just
Like they were spread thin.
they were spread thin,
yeah.
caught unaware. Their eyes were focused out instead of in because they thought they had the area under control. And it's a psychological blow to your forces.
Are they? Are securing the granaries? Is that a failure, or that they were able to do that, but just at losses and?
They were able to do that, but you took some losses there.
Okay. Did we encounter Gozar?
Nope.
Okay. I'll ask I'll ask Colonel Yu if he can spare men to keep a watch on the granaries and maybe we can coordinate guard between the both of our forces.
So he agrees to try and coordinate guarding the areas.
Mm-hmm.
His men took losses as well,
Yeah.
so both sides are stretched pretty thin.
I'll say that. So were there men who were detained, like the marauders that destroyed the granaries?
Let's say you weren't able to get any live prisoners, but your men report that the people they fought against were crazed. Your men who have fought against Reavers say that they didn't seem like Reavers outwardly, but they acted like it.
And I'll just lean into my field role and just say that, I think the morale of Fall Crest is broken, and we're edging on dark times.
Yeah.
Just to say, I don't know, he wouldn't glean that probably with the 6 roll study situation.
Yeah, I think between multiple failed attempts to seize control of this situation, between the Star of the North and Lord Torin's troops, you control the granaries, but the populace knows that they're under occupation and they're scared, and there's mobs gathering outside the granaries at sundown.
Mobs of people, or
Mobs of people who are scared that they're not going to be able to eat as the flight encroaches. That the fact that other people have attacked the granaries means that they should be getting food too, you know?
yeah,
It's that panic of other people are getting theirs, where's mine?
right. I can attempt. I'll attempt to address the crowd too, and I can use an honor move. Do you know who I am?
Okay.
Hope I roll better than a 6.
Yeah, you saw your good dice juju on that 14.
Thanks. I'll just burn 1 honor. wait, is it just straight roll plus whatever honor spent? It's not a stat too.
So, which move are you trying to make here? Persuade with leverage?
I thought it was do you know who I am? Is the honor?
Well, do you know who I am gives you a +1 to
I
persuade
see.
with leverage or threaten with force. So,
Persuade with leverage.
okay.
And the
So-
leverage would be like we have the granaries under our control, and there are mobs there, but like we're armed forces that are holding the granaries pretty much. So we kind of have them over a barrel.
Okay, so you want to convince the population that it's
So what's your wily?
Like 1. Yeah, 1.
so
So,
1 plus
one-
1 for the honor move plus what did you roll?
8, 10.
So
Okay.
10. So you want to convince the mob that they don't need to panic, they don't need to loot or riot or anything. They just the situation's under control and they can go back to your homes. Is that broadly what you're trying to get across?
I'm trying to calm the crowd, but and also what I want to do is say that the whoever was here before destroyed much of the food, or they destroyed some food that was in here, and we will need help cleaning out and destroying the food that's been befouled, and that will create room for like new food sources and things like that, and that way that'll stop the contamination of the food that's still good. So it's a little bit of an ask on them, not only just calming them down, but seeing, like, trying to enlist them to like restore order too.
Okay, let's say. All right, so that was a full success. So let's say, yeah, you get them calmed down. The crowd disperses for the most part. A few people talk to the guards about coming back to help clean the situation up the next day. Not as many as you would maybe like, but more than you kind of expected.
I'll try to talk to Colonel Yu too about, like, I know that there were farming families that came in and settled in the factory, in the old, or not factories, the old, like the remember?
Some empty warehouses.
Yeah, some of the warehouses. I'll see if I'm gonna go back and like get troops and things like that to see if he would be able to send word to like recruit some folks from the warehouses.
I think the outlying area refugees that were recruitable have been recruited at this
Yeah,
point.
that makes sense. Okay. Okay.
All right, so let's see.
He can head back. He can head back for the council after that point, I guess.
Beatrix, did you have anything you wanted to accomplish before the council?
Actually, I was hoping to jump in here. Could I whisper into the unspeakable power to deliver a message to Felix as I have before?
Absolutely. Roll it up.
All right. That is 12 plus 2, 14.
Must be nice.
Okay, so what's the message you want to carry across here?
You know the... Wait, hold on. It's even if you make it through this crisis, you know this city is on its last stand. What makes you defend it? Who is there worth defending from what this city can become? And that's it.
Okay. So, Felix, you receive this message in your brain, like not as a please hold for Mrs. Beatrix. It's just like you're walking along on your way to the council, and you have what feels like a very intrusive thought that says this in your mind. So, I don't think there's something mechanical to do here, so just in role-playing terms, try to incorporate that doubt into your mind, but do as you will.
I think that's a good way to frame the council meeting, because Felix already has such a distaste for all of the like intra-city politics, and like he thinks that he said that the leadership of Fallcrest is like self-serving and mixed up, and that's why he sought control of the Star of the North. So I think that rings true a little bit. Beatrix's message.
Okay. So,
Excellent.
unless we had something else, it's council time. Lord Torin, do you have any opening remarks for the council that is gathered in front of you at this point?
So, we have Felix is there.
Mm-hmm.
Gertrude's there.
Yep. Jane's there.
Jane's there.
Roderick's there. The merchant guy whose name escapes me is there. God damn it. Too many characters.
The merchant guy?
Yeah, Merchant Guild guy.
Yeah. Alright.
That guy.
Merchant guy. Fine. Gozar's mom.
Auntie Hilda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Nefaria there?
Let's say Nefaria is in the wind. So Nefaria is sort of a product of the powered by the apocalypse systems, where you've got to create a lot of characters, and then what those characters' role in the game is depends on which leads people follow. And Nefaria is just off where nobody was interested. So she's in the wind. She's trying to shore up the criminal portion of the Thornberry Empire, and she's not involved in these respectable dealings.
Roger. Sounds good. Welcome, everybody, on this glorious day where our city is under siege by forces unimaginable. As many of you know, lava, of all things, is encroaching on the city. Tunnels have been discovered under the wall. Our grain deposits have been saturated.
Befouled.
What are we to do? I've asked Colonel Yu to rise a band of our citizens to help shore up the wall. Star of the North and our military have seized control of the granaries. Though, how much left is there?
Let's say not enough to make people comfortable.
Okay. And our harvest outside the walls, Colonel Yu?
Excuse me. My lord, reports are that much of the harvest is not yet ready to be reaped, and the portion that is because it's premature, it could be weeks away until it can be gathered.
Lovely. So,
When did the troops do that with the Blight Dryad head?
Anytime.
Okay.
That's dramatically appropriate.
I would have left word for them to bring it to the council.
Yep.
yeah. Okay. So, I'd like to hear from each of you what your idea of where our future lies.
So Roderick stands and says, as I recall, during the last council meeting, the Star of the North had a bold and well-developed vision for how to counter these events, so I would like to hear from them as to the progress of their great initiatives that have cost so many lives so far.
I can stand up and I'll say that Antonia's not able to be here, and I can't speak for her choices and her decisions, but I'll try to pivot and talk about the expedition to the Blight and how we had encountered reavers in the Blight and like great beasts beyond imagining, and at great cost of Lord Torin's troops, and well, I guess the Star of the North guys went out besides me. Like at the expense of many of the troops who went out on the expedition of the Blight, we defeated this like hulking creature. And when we returned to Fallcrest, we found that the Blight had actually receded, and which leads us to believe that it's the presence of these creatures that are causing, at least in part, the Blight to slowly close in around us.
So, Roger gives you the slowest of slow claps.
I'll lift judgment I'll lift judgment in kind of like a nod and a smile to acknowledge his clapping and half like taunt about his wooden hands.
Yeah, because it's more of a
Yeah.
So Roderick is emboldened by the fact that he assumes you're not going to kill him in the middle of this council here, and he says, Executive Felix, is that right? So this is an amazing tale full of adventure and daring do. I fail to see how it helps us, though. Especially in light of your Exarch's plan having nothing to do, really, with your expedition. That was more of an afterthought, as I recall. Am I wrong, my lords and ladies?
What good have you done, my lord Roderick, to my good man Roderick, to close the fear, or to stop the fear of the Blight closing in on us?
I have done everything in my limited power, but my hands are only so strong.
Does he wait for applause on that?
He's disappointed that none comes, but he carries on regardless. He thinks himself a bit of a martyr here. But you may
to the point.
Of course, my dear cousin. The point is, the Star of the North promised a swift resolution to our troubles by putting our population to the sword. And it seems that
As
has
I've
not
said,
solved anything.
As I've
for
said,
us.
Roderick, I cannot speak for Antonia, and she cannot be here for us. She cannot be here to speak for her plan. Perhaps we can talk to other members who are assembled at the council tonight who can help us. And I'll kind of like cut him off and turn to other, what is Auntie Hilda or somebody like that. Yeah. Even though that's a little bit of a desperate move because Auntie Hilda has no soft spot for the Star of the North.
Yeah, Auntie Hilda does not like you guys, and she's in fact very distraught that Gozar is not here. Because he was supposed to be. So there's fucking crickets.
Mm-hmm.
And Roderick just kind of smiles. So, Lord Torin, do you have something to interject?
So what's your plan? What do you propose?
Oh, cousin, I'm afraid I am but a humble servant, but I just wanted to raise the concern that our previous course of action did not seem to be bearing fruit.
How useful.
Thank
I'll
you
sit
for
down.
your input.
Of course, my lord.
Useless as usual.
Unduly harsh, my lord.
Not particularly.
He sighs and sits down.
Good.
Thankfully, they don't make wooden tongues, like for after what I'm gonna do to Roderick later.
No, you can do something to him later. That's allowed.
Executor Felix.
I'll stand back up.
I have a contingent of men, and probably women, filling in the tunnels at the wall. Do you have any men to spare for that?
We have resumed patrol of the streets, my lord. But I would gladly commit men to that. It's a wise cause to fill those back in.
Yes, it is. So,
Need to empty it first.
Hilda, where's Gozar?
Lord Torin, I'm sorry to report I do not know where he is. I know he left the keep on business for you this morning, but I have not seen neither hide nor hair of him since, and I am concerned.
He was supposed to inspect the grain warehouse.
I am afraid I don't know where he is. I haven't seen anything or heard anything.
Heard of you?
My lord, we've received no report of Master Gozar's location.
Nothing?
In our search of the granaries, we had not seen Gozar either.
Great.
So, Master Perrin of the Merchants Guild stands up at this point and says, or Master Pomfrey. Pomfrey, yes. That's what my notes say. Stands up and says, My lord, I am afraid I must concur with Master Roderick that the Star of the North has failed to deliver on their promises despite great cost to our city. How can we trust them with the ongoing safety of our people?
What would you have in their place?
I do not know. All I know is that they have delivered nothing to us except murder and mayhem, and in their by way of excuse, Executive Felix offers a ridiculous tale of slaying monsters that we have never seen. I don't understand how we can trust them to safeguard our city.
Oh, he has a good point.
I can withdraw forces from the merchant district if he does not wish for the protections of the Star of the North.
Executive Felix, is it? I'm sorry. Your exarch was brutal in her purges, and it's not just a matter of withdrawing troops from this area of the city or that. The problem is that you have troops that do not respond to the orders of the Lord of Fallcrest. They follow orders from you or Antonia or whomever your order decides upon next. And this divides the authority and the ability of our Lord to protect our city.
You do not hold authority over the Star of the North, so do not assume any responsibility for our doings. Was it not our forces that freed or that returned the granaries to order? We're working together with Lord Torin's troops. Nothing that you've said has led us closer to a resolution of the blight enclosing around us. And I'll kind of like thump judgment on the ground at that.
Fair enough, but what do you propose to do about the blight? You have your fantastic story, but how do you stop it? How does anyone stop it? Isn't that what this council is here to figure out? Someone tell us what we should do.
And I can say that if again, we don't know about Beatrix. We don't know about.
We don't know anything about her.
Yeah, we don't know that Beatrix is coming in or like any of her plans. So.
Well, there was some ominous chanting of her name.
Yeah.
This following night.
Yeah.
Ominous.
I can say that if defeating the blight, I feel like I don't want to go down that path too far because I feel like that would be metagaming a little bit. I feel I can talk about how if destroying the creature help the blight recede. There must be more out there, and defeating them would also would make the blight further withdraw from Fallcrest and help reclaim some of the land that
Okay.
has been destroyed by the blight.
So are you proposing to attempt to hunt down and destroy blight dryads?
I'm not going to go that far to say that, but that's kind of like a weak response to the Star of the North doing nothing, and like I'm trying to. Felix is just trying to kind of like come up with alternatives because we have like a pretty good smear campaign going on right now, so for good reason.
Okay, so you're specifically addressing the blight dryads.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's where we can focus. That's where, like, that's something that basically the only thing that has proven to have any effect on stopping the blight.
Okay, so let's get a roll on this one.
Yeah.
So I assume this is going to be do you know who I am plus persuade with leverage to
I don't know what leverage I would have for the merchant.
well, let's say
Big fucking head on the table.
that the head arrives in time. So we'll figure out how to play that out, but the head
Okay.
arrives in time.
Okay. I'd have to burn it, or it would be a straight roll or roll plus Wily then, and then whatever honor.
Plus Wiley plus 1 for doing the do you know who I am.
Okay. Ugh. 4, 6. That's rough.
My God, guys, the rolls tonight.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So what is that? 2 failed or 3 failed rolls for me? I'm gonna add my the only beneficial.
Oof. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna disclaim some responsibility here. Do they? You make your case. But something is lacking about it. Is it either that something is wrong with the head, like it's decayed to the point where it's unrecognizable? Or do they just not accept that the Star of the North has their best interest at heart?
Maybe. What about even though they have basically a hunk of wood that looks like a head, it's too far of a stretch for people to believe that this was an animated creature that controls the blight. That they think that it's some fantasy or like a farce that I made up to try to like align people, or try to like regain.
So it arrives just in time, and you present it as proof
Right.
that the expedition found something,
Yeah.
but it's just not convincing.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like this doesn't prove anything really. Like
It
congratulations.
just looks
you have
like
a hunk of wood
congratulations, you have a bizarrely carved chunk of wood.
that- Right.
So, let's say that the nobles of the council are despondent. And they are scared and they don't feel like there is a plan to save Fallcrest. So,
That's a bad roll.
yeah, it's a pretty bad roll.
So I saw the toe of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and wasn't it like disgusting and gross and whatever? So is the head of this thing just like look like wood, or whatever?
It looks like it's made out of wood, but yeah, there's on
So-
close inspection, there's definitely something wrong with it. It doesn't, like up close, it does not look like just wood.
Right, but to them it just looks like
It doesn't present well in front of a crowd at a distance.
right.
Distance,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm gonna do help with another PC's move.
Okay.
So my intent is to draw my sword and like slice through this thing's head, so that it's like innards just like spill all over the table.
Yeah.
You know, to prove that this thing is like was a living thing.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be so that's what I'm gonna do. Roll whatever stat is appropriate. So that would be what you think?
Fierce.
Fierce.
Yeah, I think that sounds like fierce. You're like, you're commanding the attention with this bold and aggressive action of like chopping into this thing to show that it's not just a queer chunk of wood here.
Okay. So yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right.
11.
So that improves the result
So
by
by-
2.
They take an additional 1 for helping.
Okay, so they take an additional 1, but there's no negative consequences to you. Okay.
No.
So that bumps this up from a 6 to a 7, which
Oh,
is
and it says pick an additional effect.
Mhm.
So, and then roll blah, blah, blah. On a hit, they take +1 for helping. And then on 10 plus, I can take an additional 1. So you roll a 6, right?
Yep.
So I'm just going to take the +1 that goes along with the move, and then I can take an additional +1, but that's not going to matter. So I'm going to take, I don't expose myself to danger, cost, or retribution through my action.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're a 7 now.
Thanks.
So I think somebody in the crowd is expressing their doubt about the veracity of the head, and you just sort of lose your patience, draw your sword, and hack into it. Right as they're saying, that looks like it's just a carved chunk of wood, and then you hack part of it off, and like bizarre organs start leaking out of it, and they just sort of like trail off mid-sentence. So let's say then that the nobles at the council feel that this is a real and immediate existential threat to Fallcrest. So what do you intend to do with that understanding? Either of you.
Yeah. I'm feeling like, again, like Felix doesn't feel like doesn't think that he has like political prowess, so he's more of like an action man, you know, like so, and he feels like he's already failed to impress, or like these people aren't going to listen to him, so I don't think he's going to speak up. I think that he's going to just try to do something with the Star of the North because he has authority there.
Okay.
Yeah, understood. Felix, your plan is to, or what you would like is to lead a force to destroy these creatures and push back the blight.
In a broad way, yes, my lord. I have to admit that I don't know where they are, but I feel that if we were to find and destroy more blight dryads, we could stop the closing of the blight.
But the command of my army is yours.
There's some gasps that go up around the room.
Colonel, you've been relieved.
I'll just
My lord? Do I report to Executive Felix now?
Yes.
I'll just
As
look at the
my
merchant.
lord wills.
I'll look at the merchant leader, Pomfrey or whatever his name is.
He looks a little scared and horrified.
Yeah, you little fucker. You should be.
Okay. So the town forces are under Star of the North control. At this point, Gertrude had planned to push the wedding up even further and just do it in front of the assembled lords
So,
and ladies. But
I'm going to say, with that, without a wedding, just disperse this food to the populace because there's no point now.
okay.
And
So-
he's just going to get up and walk out.
So Gertrude's looking very upset, and she follows you along with Jane. And Colonel Yu goes to meet with Felix to start coordinating whatever it is that Felix wants to get moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of all this, where's Gozar?
Got hit in the head with some rocks.
He did. So Beatrix, if if some of your people got their hands on Gozar, what would they do with him?
These are the people that had been they had been made pod people, right? Like it was because of the So
Because of the contaminated water.
right, and so like my control over them is quite limited at this point, right?
Yeah, it's not as direct or explicit.
Could I, if I like, I felt a twinge and I saw like they had gotten Gozar, like would I be able to like get them to bring him to a general location?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. I'd have him deposited on the banks of the pool wherein I met it. Or I had my strongest connection with it.
Is this that cave out at the edge of the blight?
Yep.
Okay. So, Gozar.
Yep.
You come to with a start, and you find yourself alone in a cave. And around you, you hear that familiar lack of sound that lets you know that you're beyond the borders of the blight.
Lovely. What do I see when I look around? Just the empty cave?
Well, it's a cave. There's a tunnel that appears to lead up and out. But in the middle of the cave itself, there's this narrow shaft up to open air that just a little bit of moonlight shines down into, and at the bottom of the shaft is a reflecting pool that catches the light of the moon.
All right, I'm gonna roll. As much as I don't want to, I'm gonna roll with some different dice.
I've gotten all the good rolls tonight.
I'm gonna roll study situation.
Okay.
7 plus. Either way, it's sly, so it makes 8. So I get 2 questions. Where's my best escape route? This is my first one.
So you look around, and there doesn't appear to be anyone blocking you. So you assume that your best escape route is the tunnel that slopes up and out. But in a pinch, you think you could squeeze through the hole in the ceiling if you had to.
Okay. Oh, the second one. Why couldn't I have gotten a third one here? Debating between 2 here. Damn it.
No, just go with your instinct. Go with your instinct.
Who or where is my enemy really?
So, you look around the cave, and the moonlight glints off the water, and something seems out of place. And it's this little strip of cloth that looks so familiar to you. It takes you a few moments to figure out what it is even, but it's the exact shade of the hem of the dress that Beatrix was wearing when last you saw her.
Okay.
And you get the impression not only that she was here, but that she's still here in a way.
Like physically there, or like?
No, not physically there, but there nonetheless. In a more arcane sense.
Alright. So I can walk out the cave where there's a hole in the ceiling, so to speak. Or you said a hole somewhere?
11. Alexa, turn on the basement lamp.
Okay.
Thanks, Alexa. No, you're welcome.
I'm grateful, bitch.
Fucking robots.
Alexa, thank you.
You bet.
She only responds if you address her.
You're welcome, Nathan.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
You're welcome, Prime Citizen.
Alright, so I don't think I have much other time to use this because we're nearing the end. I'm going to do fairest of them all. Actually, I'm gonna walk towards the way out and scope it a bit just to see if I see anybody like there, like any of like the people that hit me on the head or things like that.
Okay. Beatrix, what does he see?
He sneaks a peek right above the crest of the rocks, and scattered about halfway down the hill, there's maybe about 10 to 11 reavers and one dryad, and if he's not too careful, they'll swivel their heads toward him, and the dryad just kind of lifts a few branches up and waves them back and forth.
Fuck, Gozar's about to die. Fairest of them all. I'm gonna turn into
A blight dryad?
no, I'm gonna I can turn into the golem, or I can turn into I have one left of her, Beatrix.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fuck. Either way, I need a fucking roll here.
Take a minute.
It's Beatrix.
You go
Oh my god, this is gonna be great.
7, and that's plus 3, 10. Excellent.
Nice. Okay, yeah. So you assume Beatrix's form perfectly.
Yes. So I stroll on out of the cave and head right towards them.
All right. They don't appear to like stand at attention or anything, but they don't
So
make any move.
wait, one question. Gozar,
Yeah.
you took that from when Beatrix was pre-corrupted, right?
We had sex twice.
Right. So the form that Gozar's taking, it's not what Beatrix looks like now. It's what Beatrix looks like before she became an agent
Right,
of the
it's like
blood.
all black
True, yeah.
veins now.
True.
Yeah.
So the dryad needs to roll perception.
Yeah, so the way I think this would be most appropriate to handle is just that, like, the disguise is only so good here.
Yeah.
You're not taking over the Reavers,
Yeah.
but they're not gonna mess with you if they don't see you too close.
Yeah, he's just gonna try and get out. He's not gonna try and mess with too much. Not with that many of them. If there was one or two of them, he'd probably take a shot. But he's just gonna try and get out of there.
Yeah. So seeing them
Can
at a distance.
I whisper into the unspeakable power on this one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Let's see what happens. Go for it.
I may have to whisper back.
Yeah. That's how this works.
That's 6 plus 2, 8.
Okay. What are you trying to do?
Aren't you curious to actually meet the source of the unspeakable power?
So that's the message you want to pass to Gozar?
Yep. And maybe project an image of the pond again, just because Beatrix knows how thick Gozar can be at times.
So, with that being said, they've never met Beatrix. How would they know the difference between what she looks like now and what I look like?
No. So this is Beatrix sending you a message.
Oh, sending me a message?
Sending you a message.
Yeah.
Alright, what was the message again?
I'm trying to. So, aren't you curious to actually meet the source of your power? Well, I think it's the unspeakable power. And then I'll project an image of the pond.
I don't think Gozar would go for that. Gozar knows who his unspeakable power is. He wouldn't need to want to meet an unspeakable power. He's not that deep either.
Yeah, that seems reasonable because Gozar, the source was his ancestors. I thought. Yeah. So he was always pretty certain of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think with an 8 for your roll, it's like he gets the message, but he isn't.
But it's not persuasive. Yeah. No, that's fair.
Well, no. It's not that it's not persuasive. He's just not compelled. You know?
Yeah. No. I think that's good.
Okay, so you wanna head back to the city?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you head
Getting
back
a real walkout in before that wedding cake weighs you down.
Yeah, I come back sweaty and...
Looking like Beatrix.
Yep, I'm gonna continue the look of Beatrix for now.
Jane's gonna beat the shit out of you. Jane?
You're betrothed.
Yeah.
Well, when she sounds like a hit in the head,
I don't know.
And drag-
Sounds like cold feet to me.
I came back.
Yeah, they all do eventually.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, when I tell her that you sent me out.
I already told everyone that.
So it's after 11 o'clock now. Is there anything else anybody wanted to accomplish tonight?
I didn't die, so I'm good.
Maybe wanted to accomplish more, but I'm willing to call not dying a win.
Right. Considering,
Especially after 2 failed rolls in a row. That was bad.
Well, and then waking up with 12 to 13 freaking reavers and golems or whatever freaking outside. Thank God I passed that roll.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Otherwise you did.
All right, so I think this is a good place to stop. I realized after the fact last week we didn't do the end of session stuff where we went through experience and honor and all that. And I think with where we are in the story, which is probably next session's our last one, I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah. I have 11 honor to play with, so I don't think I could use it all.
Yeah. So, my feelings on these end of session things are that they're end of session, beginning of session, bookkeeping type stuff is not my bag. So I'm glad to throw it by the wayside. And hopefully we'll have a thrilling conclusion with next session.